Alright, so this video, I want to show you guys an alternate way to factor trinomials where your a value is not equal to 1, so you have a number in front of your x squared that does not involve guessing and checking. Some people are really good at guessing and checking, some people not so good. So let me show you another method you could use that will get you the right answer every single time. So what we're going to do is first make sure that we have identified our a, b, and c values of the trinomial. So just in case we didn't know this yet, you've got your x squared term. The a value is always the number in front of it. So our a is 4. Our b value is the number in front of the x, and we want to make sure we have the right sign. That's going to be a negative 17. And then our c value is a positive 15. All right, so here's how this method works. First, what you're going to do is you're going to take the a value times the c value. So 4 times 15 is 60. And what we're going to look for are factors of 60. So you've got 1 in 60, 2 in 30, 3 in 20, 4 in 15, 5 in 12, 6 and 10, well, there's a lot of them. 7, 8, 9, all right, so that's all of those. So factors of 60. What we're looking for is the factor pair that will add up to our b value, the negative 17. So now one thing to notice is you see how this is a positive 60? Which means all your factors will be positive, or all your factors could be negative. And because they have to add up to a negative 17, that tells me that I'm looking at negative factors. So I'll go ahead and make sure I'm thinking about these as negative factors. So we want to find the factor pair that adds up to a negative 16. If you go down your list, hopefully you'll notice that we've got this negative 5 and this negative 12. That's the factor pair that we need. So what we do is we take our negative 5 and our negative 12, and just go ahead and write them over here. We are going to take these values and make fractions out of them. So I know this kind of seems like, what are we doing? But I promise it's going to work out correct every single time. So we're going to go ahead and divide by the a value. Our a value is 4. Divide by 4. So if you were making a little note in your notes, you might write down divide by a. All right, so then what you're going to do is you're going to take each fraction and reduce it. Negative 5 over 4, well, that's already reduced, so that one we don't have to change. Negative 12 over 4, however, can be reduced. If you divide both by 4, you get a negative 3 over 1. All right, so we're almost done with the problem. Now, each of these, the one that I just reduced, I do like to cross that off so that I don't get confused and try to use that fraction. So what we're going to do with each fraction is we're going to put an x with the bottom number. So the x goes on the bottom. And that sets us up ready to get our answer. So the first fraction, this negative 5 over 4x, we're going to write the 4x first, so 4x. And then because it's a negative 5 on top, we're going to say minus 5. So basically, this fraction becomes our binomial inside our parentheses. Now the next one, you have a 1x, which is the same thing as x, and then a negative 3 on top, so we're going to say minus 3. So this is the correct answer. This is factored correctly. We didn't guess, we didn't check, we just know that it's correct because we followed all the steps perfectly. So that is our answer. All right, I'm going to run through another one. This one won't take quite as long because we've seen the example already. One thing I want to point out here is you do have a negative 2 in front of your x squared. So anytime that your a value is negative, we do want to factor out a negative 1. That's going to leave us with 2x squared minus 7x minus 4. So we want to identify the a, b, and c. You even could just do this. Here's your a, here's your b, here's your c. We're going to take a times c. So if you take your a times your c, it's 2 times negative 4, which is negative 8. We're looking for factors of negative 8 that will add up to our b value of negative 7. So think through your factors of negative 8. We might be getting to a negative 8 and a positive 1 right away. So we're kind of used to this idea of factors of one number adding up to another number. And you may not have to list every single factor pair because you might come up with the right one right away. So that's our factor pair that works out. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8, and negative 8 plus 1 is that negative 7. So what we're going to do is we're going to write our factor pairs over here, negative 8 and 1. We have to divide it by our a value, which is 2, and then reduce these if you can. Well, negative 8 over 2 reduces to a negative 4 over 1, so that one's done. And then 1 over 2 is already reduced. So these two fractions will turn into our parentheses. Remember that x goes with the bottom number, and then the first one, it's a 1x, or x, minus 4. The second parenthesis, you have a 2x, and because that's a positive 1 on top, plus 1. Now the only thing that makes this one a little bit trickier is remember how we factored out that negative 1 in the beginning? That negative 1 does become part of our answer, so we just have to remember to put that on our answer in the end. And then we got the right answer.